You're listening to Season 3 of Kinwomen ALOUD, where we talk about the things that matter most, the honest moments, the messy ones, and everything in between. We're so glad you're here. Let's tune in today for today's episode.
Welcome to Kinwomen ALOUD, a conversation for women by women. And today we're just going to do a little check-in with the OGs. Kelley, Kelley.
Hello.
I can't even say your last name, and I've known you for 30 years. And
Penny Webb.
Penny Webb.
Yes.
Well, one thing that I do with my team at work is we will be in a meeting or at the beginning of a week, we will do what we call the weather report. And so we'll go around the team and just check in. How you doing?
That's great.
What is your weather report? Are you all sunshiny? Everything's great. Are you seeing a typhoon developing off on the east?
Yeah.
What is happening for you in your personal life and your work life? And just checking in. So, Penny.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yes, please. Weather report from the land of Penelope.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, family outlook, glorious sunshine with golden rays.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. How does that? So it's the Nana factor. That's, it's beautiful. So family is pretty radiant time right now. Romantic forecast, I'm going to say sunny with a light breeze.
Oh.
Say no more.
Yes.
Work, I kind of thought about this one. High pressure system. Industrious energy with swirling winds.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
We get
Does
it.
that sound about right?
That leadership life.
Yeah.
And just, I think just overall, vibrant spring with a chance of awe.
Oh, chance of awe, not even a risk of rain.
Oh, I
No.
like a chance
Well,
of
see,
awe.
I don't
It
mind a
feels
bit of
very
rain.
spring.
I don't mind a bit of rain.
Oh,
In fact, spring always brings a bit of rain.
Wow. Penny, that's very mysterious and very beautiful.
I know.
Well done.
Well, you've really
So
become very
read into that.
poetic.
Whatever you wish.
poetic.
I love a good bit of poetry. How about you, Kelley?
Well, I'm not nearly as well prepared with my weather report, I can assure you, because I think, funny enough, it's a good metaphor.
It's a great
using
metaphor.
a weather.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was thinking, the thing for me is I am the eternal optimist. So when you say to me, what's the weather report, I always say sunny, cloudless sky, can see to the horizon. That's kind of,
Yeah.
because I think that's, in all aspects of my life, I think that's the way I see life, you know what I mean? I just see it as, sunny,
Yeah.
lots coming. And I was lying in bed yesterday morning and I was just, had that moment lying there just looking out and thinking, what a beautiful day, what a beautiful forecast, what could possibly be happening today. So that's for me. And that doesn't mean there really some clouds don't whip across that sky.
No,
but
nothing wrong with some clouds.
But I just have that, sunny, expected to be sunny and bright.
Beautiful.
I love that. Looking forward to Christmas and summer coming and just your family and life. And
What about
That's
you,
beautiful.
though? What about you?
I think I have lived in quite a few winter willies for a while. There have been some swirling storms, let me tell you. But I've come to that place, just that sunrise after a storm, and it feels really beautiful. I'm loving spring. Our house, we've been there now for 5 months, and so we've done
Is it
some
that
really
long?
beautiful renovations. We've been painting the outside of it, and we've taken it from a 1990s. It looked like a Bunnings warehouse, and we brought it more into a beach batch, like a batch from New Zealand. We're loving that kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
it's gorgeous.
And but I do have a few little lightning bolts off to the side, like it could be that summer storm is brewing. My house is full of a basketball team of teenagers right now, so happy for my husband to be home with them to try and get them to clean up the kitchen because it is full of pizza leftovers and there were pies happening at midnight and, that's my life at the
Love
moment.
it. Remember those years. Fantastic years.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So love the weather report, girls.
Yeah, that was a nice-
I think that we could be good in that kind of environment. Well, today we gathered together and we're going to have a beautiful conversation around our soul and those places of our heart. So our soul is this place of our heart, our inner home, that sense of where we get that steadiness to be able to have a clear sky weather report, even if there are some developing weather systems on the horizon. And so we're going to lean into that today. So let me take you through some of the big ideas around our next couple of episodes. And we just want to say thank you to everyone that's been listening. We've really enjoyed your comments and just sharing it with your friends and family. And it's such a privilege to be able to take time to communicate with you. So our theme today is a conversation that we don't nearly have enough of about the losses that reshape us and the slow, surprising ways that we find ourselves again. Grief isn't always about death. Sometimes it's about a friendship that quietly changes, or it's a version of ourselves that we can't recognize in the mirror, aging, the life that you thought you'd be living, but it simply isn't the way that you thought it would be. It could be the weight of regret, and today we are going to talk a little bit about regret and that idea about when seasons shift and change, the disorientation that comes with that, but the opportunity for us to start the day new again, like the weather report and the opportunity of fresh things to be on the horizon. And so over these episodes, we're gathering around a table to talk about what it really looks like to move through seasons of loss. And we're starting today to be able to lean into the story of Kelley. She is our guest in the next episode, who will just take us into her story and to be able to lean into what it means to lean into transformation, to talk about friendships and new opportunities, but really leaning into what grief means and the parts of herself that have deeply changed. So today's not about silver linings in a cloud or rushing into renewal, but it's about sitting with what is true and honouring what's been lost, and trusting that even in our most broken seasons, there's always something that is being rebuilt.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for your time. Can't wait to dig into it more with Penny and Kelley and our guest in our next episode. We are Kinwomen. Well, girls, today's episode is all about those times when everything changes and just really leaning into what it means to respond in those times of change, particularly around grief. And grief is not necessarily really hard times. It can be incredibly frustrating. Maybe there's seasons when you end up laughing at the set of circumstances that have arrived in your day-to-day and being able to find a place of renewal and the opportunity to lean in to what the next season looks like. And today we started off with a weather report, just checking in with ourselves, which is an important place to be able to communicate. But leaning into stories of grief, stories of transition and change. What would be your definition of grief, girls? Love to hear from either of you.
Kel.
Well, I think at its core, it is loss. It is loss. That's what grief is. Whatever you've lost, a relationship, a person, a future that you imagined, your circumstances, children leaving home, or there is. I mean, grief is. It's a loss of something that you have to say goodbye to, and I think grief is the emotion you're left with, because you know that there's a side of you that may be sad or angry or hurt or just accepting, but it's really going to be a patch that you're going to have to go through. And I think so. Grief is a season, right? It really is. It's a season. It's an in-between.
Yeah.
It's an in-between.
Yeah.
Loss and what comes next. That's kind of what it is for me. What about you, Pam?
Yeah, and I think grief is definitely a roller coaster. But I also think grief for me begins when something or someone that you love is slipping away, and so it's not always an event. It can be slow, which is why I think grief isn't just at the point of the event. Grief can actually begin quite a bit of time beforehand, when someone or something that we love is slipping away and we know we're going to lose something that we love.
Which is that kind of idea. It starts with love.
It does.
It doesn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it starts with love.
If you didn't love, you wouldn't care. There is no loss.
Yes, that's exactly right. There is love.
And also what I see is I look at our global culture right now, and we particularly reflect on the last 5 years and the amount of systemic change and family change and the impact of a global pandemic, I think that also there are moments in time when everything changes. So it wasn't slow. It was like overnight. There was panic buying. We were in our houses, particularly in the developing world, where there was a polycrisis of different environments that really impacted vulnerable people. It happened overnight, and I think there has been a communal grief over the last season. Would you guys have any thoughts or reflections on that kind of definition of what it means to grieve?
Well, I think that's what we see the moment we scroll on our media, listen to our news. I think the loss in the world from everything that you've talked about, and wars and famine, and just, there's just so much loss happening out there right now. And we see it.
And then there's secondary losses because of that,
Of course.
I'm just kind of thinking that, but thinking then
Businesses
we start to
that
become
failed.
a poverty of compassion because there's just been so much hardship, So I think there's secondary
Of course.
Yes.
the consequences of it. But grief in itself is something that it's, if we kind of understood in life that if you actually are going to love, you're going to lose.
Yes.
I mean, I hope that doesn't sound too horrendous, but it actually is what the truth,
Yes.
You're going to love things that you will have loss, and therefore you will have grief. So this is really a necessary season. I don't say it lightly, and I don't say it because I haven't seen things yet, because I think the beautiful thing, I'm actually in my mid-60s coming up, and I kind of think you actually have seen it. Because I go back to the first time I really experienced grief. I'm actually quite glad I wasn't too young. So I kind of would be people listening to this who would have experienced very difficult things as a child, and I don't know how I would have gone. I don't, because I remember the first event of real loss for me was I lost my best friend in a tragic car accident when I was 18. And I'm talking about a big loss, right, of a person, which is, we know it can be many different things, but I remember hearing it in the night, getting a call in early hours of the morning, 4 a.m. My mum answered the phone, and I remember hearing the conversation, and I could hear what had happened, but I just went back to sleep because there was something in me that just could not face it. And I went back to sleep, and I didn't wake up till late that day. So, it was such an overwhelming grief that accompanied that information in the coming days. But I remember the whole sense of not wanting to talk about it, not pretending it not happened, the whole thing. And yet over that period I learned the necessity of feeling deeply.
Yeah. What was your friend's name?
My friend's name was Anna.
Yeah.
Anna Senyushenko, and she was the most beautiful, crazy, wonderful friend. And you lose someone, and she'd been my friend for, already 8-9 years by then.
Yeah.
So it was a huge personal loss when you're a young woman.
Yeah, teenage friendships, they're incredibly formative.
Very, very difficult. But, I actually did understand what it meant to grieve. I really did. I learned, even as a girl. And I'm actually so aware that there's something in us innate that understands it, because no one spoke to me about it, and I never heard about it before, and I'd never had seen it. But I knew, you have to walk through this. You have to feel, but I didn't know what was at the other end as a girl. I didn't know.
Beautiful. How about you, Pen? Have there been seasons where grief has been a big part of your weather report?
I mean, this is such a big discussion, right? So by the time you reach, my age, you have seen and felt so much, and you kind of think to yourself, what are the big ones? And death, of a loved one, like my father. I've had both my fathers pass away now. But I guess the most recent one for me was the breakdown of my marriage. And as I said before, grief begins with love. Okay, so this was the example of something precious slipping away.
Right.
And I remember having a recurring dream at the time before we separated. And this reoccurring dream was there was a door that had been opened, and all these pillows were just kept flying out at me, and I was trying to push the pillows back in, and I couldn't. I couldn't. And how I see that now is that was the grief had begun. You know what I mean? It was like something was slipping away, something was happening, and love was being lost, and. So it's been a massive time. I mean, it's quite a number of years on now.
Yes.
But that grief had its journey.
Yes.
And I think the thing that I would say is that grief and that sense of sadness is not the only emotion that sits during that time.
No.
It's absolutely not. And I had this
because we would say there was anger and there's regrets, and then there's guilt. I think there's enormous guilt. There's shame. There's
relief. Like
yes,
there's all different sides to that.
There are some incredible elation moments when you having to face something that's very difficult too.
But it's painful.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I would say is that, you know, we try to avoid pain at all costs. But the bottom line is the moment we get born into this world, both, you know, pain and joy are like just they're the
coexisting.
They coexist. There is nothing you can do to get out of that dual track. But at the same time, I would say that, you know, pain and grief and sadness, and I'm not trying to trivialise this, is also the agent for change.
Yes. Yes.
And in fact, you almost need it.
Yes.
Which is, you know, we don't like saying that, but grief is so important.
Yes.
It's so important.
Well, I mean, walking through it is important.
So important.
And we can get to this kind of belief or desire to avoid it at all costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we really can. And, you know, it's really hard as a parent.
Yes.
Right? Because as a parent, when you see your children suffering, you actually just want to rescue.
Yes.
You know, you really do. And we grew up, I grew up in a different age when parents there's just so much happening in their worlds that they couldn't always be there to provide that sense of protection that I feel I can, even just because of technologically being connected.
Yes.
But, you know, we all know that the wisdom of life tells us that you have to actually experience pain.
Yes.
Actually do.
Yeah.
And I think if we bring together what our episodes across the last few or this season would be like, it's really coming back to our bodies, our soul, our spirit.
Yeah.
And we talked about just the overwhelm or that sense of compassion fatigue that comes from the amount of information that we're all processing. And I think there has been like a communal disassociation, like that sense of don't feel the pain. But what I'm hearing from both of your stories is how do we ground ourselves and really transition through periods of difficulty rather than get stuck. And a way that we can look towards that is, were there any gifts that grief or the season of loss gave you? Is there a sense of wisdom that came? Were there some ways that you changed your life in a way that was deeply transformative to be able to learn from those moments?
Oh, I think when you allow the pain to be there and for grief to have its course, I think without a doubt you learn a lot. You learn a lot. And that, in a sense, that is the gift of it. But you have to allow yourself to be there. And I think that's the point. So it's not about pushing the pain aside or the questions, because the roller coaster is crazy.
Or just being can I say this? The optimist, you know, as I said, I'm the sunny sky girl. The optimism isn't, I can avoid this isn't so bad, get over it, pull yourself together. That's not optimism.
No.
Yes, it's like a hopefulness.
The optimism is this, yes, it is. It's a hope. Once I walk through this, the darkest of days, I will be okay.
Yes.
That's what I learned.
Yes.
It wasn't, I have to rush my way through. It doesn't matter. It won't matter tomorrow. It doesn't matter today. All of that is just deferring grief. But if I actually have really lighting deep within my soul this belief that I'll walk through it and I really will be okay. But gosh, there's going to be some dark days. That's what I learned.
I love that.
And I learned from that as that young woman. I did lose a second friend within 3 years, which is horrendous.
That is horrendous.
So, and I was only in my early 20s when I lost the second friend. But you know what? Having those two extreme catastrophes at that point, I really went, you really can be okay, but you have to experience the pain.
Yes.
But that pain is released over time. And I think that's the point. There's never a moment where you kind of go, oh, I'm done. You know, it actually is a slow releasing over time.
There is a moment you realise I actually am okay.
You might.
I did get to that each time, but I tell you what, I didn't feel it at all the I didn't feel it along the way. I didn't feel
that's
a gradual.
right. Or you go, oh, I feel okay, and then the next week you'll be like, oh my gosh, I feel crap again, kind of thing.
It's riding the different paths.
Yeah.
You know, I had a similar experience, Kel, when I was 21. I lost one of my closest friends, and he was my cousin. And at the same time, within 6 months, I lost my nana. And she was quite young, actually, in her 70s, and her name was Joy. She was such a delight, loved football, like just hilarious.
I like her.
Would have a beer and sit on the boys' laps, and she was so funny. But you know what I found from the wisdom that came from that period for me? Because there were 3 things that happened in a period of time. I lost my cousin, who was my closest friend. My nana passed away and my parents got divorced. And I was 21.
Gosh, yeah.
And you know what I found? The wisdom I found from that year, it was a year that changed me, is pain is a great revealer. And there were things that I had kind of squashed from my childhood that really came to life in that period of time. And so one thing that I'm incredibly grateful for was that opportunity to process. And it was the first time then that I went to go and see a psychologist and found ways to be able to really reset. And it was only like a year or 2 after that that I came to meet you girls. And there were really big changes that happened in my life again there. So that's incredible. Well, I think sometimes grief can bring out anger and it can bring out parts of ourselves that maybe we don't like, because it is pain as a great revealer.
Oh, yeah.
Have there been any times where you've regretted seasons where you haven't transitioned well, or you haven't faced those things, and often they come back to bite us or find us again, don't they?
I mean, my thought is during those seasons, some of the beautiful things that have come out of that time for me is that I've discovered more of me. You know, the good, the girl, the woman, and lessons like, you know, some things aren't meant to last, and that's okay.
Right.
You know, because we don't like it when things end. We are not a culture that likes it when things end. But regret for me is so unhelpful. Regret is the past. Regret takes me back. Regret is not now, and yet I live now.
Beautiful.
So the challenge of regret is that all it does is hold me to a point when potentially a point of shame, because I should have made a different choice.
Yes.
And that does nothing for my now, because this is where I live. I don't live back then. And who knows, like I could have made a different choice, but you're really playing a tape out that you don't know how it would have played out. So even if I had made a different choice, you know, really I just made the best choice at the moment. I made them for reasons that I felt were okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good wisdom, good people around you, but at the end of the day,
maybe
it's
not.
moving forward.
Maybe I didn't have good wisdom around me. Maybe it wasn't incredibly healthy, but I still made the choice.
Beautiful.
And there are things that I can learn from that. But if I live
that's what
back
I was
there,
going to say. I was going to say we're kind of trying to make the differentiate between you're learning and regretting.
Yes.
Do you know? So it's not about the regret is the self-punishment.
Yeah,
because
that's the shame.
And of the, you know, which becomes shame and the unknown and I should have and I could have and maybe it would have. But I think learning is this beautiful thing that can happen.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to not look back and question, but just frame it in a way that you think, I actually want to better understand that. but you can't live your life in the regret of it. But one thing I learned out of seasons of difficulty and extreme pain is to be very careful what I repeat at the time. Don't
To others
to
or
others
to yourself?
and
To
to myself.
yourself. Absolutely.
Be very, very
Like the
careful.
power of your inner critic. Yeah.
Exactly. Be very, very careful, because that will become an incredible punishment from inside and out.
Yes,
So
yes.
I had a situation in the last few years where someone in a very difficult situation, someone started to speak and, kind of try to explain things, and, there was a sense of punishment and blame, and I said, stop. We don't say anything at this moment. This is the danger moment.
Yeah, words have power, hey?
When we will hurt each other.
Yeah.
And once you've said things to each other, you can't take them back. So what we do is we move away. We don't say. We know, we both understand that things might need to be said, but now is not the time. And you know what? I learned that lesson. I learned that lesson back when I made a few really bad decisions. So I think it's this beautiful, regret is just punishment, but learning and better understanding, that will become your beautiful friend in the next seasons of grief.
Beautiful. Well, as we bring this part of our episode to a close, I'd love to just do a quick whip around. I know that this is a conversation we could have for 3 hours, not 30 minutes.
I know.
And each of us have some learnings that have come out of seasons of regret or seasons of grief and bringing us to that place of renewal. So what is something really quick and simple would be a piece of wisdom that you'd give to someone who's experiencing loss? Kelley, as she points to me and says, me, like in school, go for it.
Pick me. I think if I had to say one piece of reflection that's really served me, that is, you start to grieve. For me, once I've radically accepted, until radical acceptance, until I think this has happened, this is happening, this will end, whatever that season is. I think the fight you put up to resist, and there might be a period of that.
Yes.
But then there comes a point of radical acceptance, and at that point, something breaks in me. It breaks in me, and I found that to be incredibly helpful, because you've made a choice at that point. So because it could be really right to be pushing back for a period of time. It's like the right thing, and then it gets to a point. This has happened. This is happening. Now grief will begin.
It's the opposite of disassociation. It's like, okay, I'm actually going to sit with this. Yeah. I'm going to feel it, and I'm going to be okay. I love that, Kel.
Yeah.
How about you, Pen?
Which kind of goes into my thought, really, which is, it's okay that things don't last. Because really grief is, again, we go back to it's a love lost.
It's losing.
And we don't like it when a love is lost.
For whatever reason
For whatever
happened.
reason.
Whatever reason, yeah.
It's okay that things don't last. That doesn't make life impossible. No. It doesn't make the pain bad. It doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't, whatever it is, it's okay that some things don't last.
Yes.
And there is joy to be found the other side.
Well, if
you accommodate it. It's not about you lose the grief or the loss, but you accommodate it in life. That's what I think.
Yes.
And
it's not about denial.
Even if you've lost something incredibly beautiful, right, there can be a situation where you think, I don't know if I can ever recover from this. I feel like if I don't accept the loss and start to grieve, that I actually can't hold on to the memory because it's too painful.
Yes.
The memory's too painful.
Yes.
But a funny thing, my girlfriend, when I lost her, when I accepted it, I can talk about her. And
yes.
You know what? Her mum never could, and it became such a punishment. But you know what? We entered into a time of beauty, Anna and I, after the loss, because all the memories are beautiful once you actually can accept that it's actually happened.
That's right, and that's what I think. So it's not about getting over it.
No,
it's actually about feeling the pain of grief and loss, allowing yourself to be restored. It's that beauty from ashes.
Yeah,
there are still ashes, and that's okay. but there is beauty. There can be beauty the other side, and there can be joy in life.
Beautiful memories that we can wrap up and hold on to about people. So, yeah, that's lovely.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for the time that you've spent with us as we've discussed a really difficult topic. We feel like we could take a lot longer to be able to unpack it, but that's the power of Kinwomen, is that you can start conversations that matter with your friends and family. And one thing that we wanted to do with this season is really provide some resources that help you, that you can continue to explore and learn, be ever learning, and to lean into those places so you don't get stuck. There's nothing worse than living in regret, and leaning into what renewal looks like for you. So on social media, we have linked a podcast from Esther Perel, and it's an opportunity with an interview with Julia Samuel for her to be able to really teach and help you. And another book that I've been reading recently by Brené Brown is called Strong Ground, and we've linked that as well. It's a new release, and she speaks so much about, particularly in leadership, when there is a lot of change and there's been a lot of societal change, the grief that comes with that, but the opportunity for vulnerability to move into courage and to stay really grounded together. So to close our time today, I just wanted to encourage you with a picture that I've had that I've carried over the last few seasons of grief for me personally. And the area of our soul really is that place of our heart, the central processing unit of our emotions, that place, our inner home where we sit and we're able to walk through and find our sense of self, identity, and beauty. And so I had a picture that's really helped me across a really significant season of grief, which has been a time when both my husband and I both lost our fathers really suddenly. And the picture was this. I saw a picture, actually in a dream, of a heart, like quite a raw heart, but there were barnacles on the heart. It's like the bottom of a boat. And that it was like an encouragement to me to not let those barnacles build up. And if you're a boating person, when you're in the ocean, barnacles are so much more able to be removed and create the softness of what our heart is desired or designed to be. It's a lot easier to remove barnacles in salt water, but as soon as you go to fresh water or fresh air, they get really hard, and the sense of hardening of our hearts. And so the encouragement that I have for you today in that little simple analogy is don't let your heart get hard. That sense of the stories or the barnacles that build up. Life does have these little times when a hardening can come. But the best way to live forward and to be able to live in renewal is to remove those barnacles, remove those places of unforgiveness, remove those stories that are holding you captive, or transform them into the new and the possibility that you have. So in our next episode, we're going to be speaking with Kylie Dungy, who is a beautiful storyteller, and for you to lean into the grace that has come with grief from her. So thank you for your time today. We are Kinwomen.
Thanks for tuning into Kinwomen ALOUD, where real conversations connect us to one another. This episode was recorded at Elemental Sound in Perth with studio engineer Mark Ralph and produced by Natalie Kilner at Mindful Marketing Studio. Be sure to follow Kinwomen ALOUD on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and follow our socials for more conversations that matter. Until next time, you are our kin.